And joining us now is Kevin Alsop, an urban farmer. He's joining us from his home in Capitol Heights. He's the founder of a nonprofit organization called Feeding 5,000, which helped teach urban farming. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So talk about, I mean, obviously with COVID-19, the pandemic shutting things down,
hmm
what are you working on these days?
Um, well, with the whole pandemic thing, I'm getting a lot of phone calls from private residences, homeowners that's interested in starting their own gardens in their backyards or whatever space that they have. So I'm doing a lot of that these days, a lot of consulting. You know, when I started Feeding 5,000, the whole intent was to teach people how to grow food in that urban environment, particularly in them at your home, at your own personal house. And so 2, 3 years later, I was telling people, hey, whoever controls your food source controls you. It's going to be a day when all that's not everything that we know won't be the same. And so I think we got a glimpse of how fragile the system is as a whole, and even more so our food system.
So you said you're getting calls from people about wanting to do some urban gardening,
Uh,
but obviously there have to be some concerns with being in contact with people or having uh, or being in close contact with them. How do you get around that?
well, I mean, for the most part, it's not groups. It's usually an individual or two. Um, Wear masks, keep our distance as much as possible. So that hasn't really been a issue or problem because it's usually just one or two, maybe. They're being careful too. So
Hmm.
it's usually just one, two people at the most. Usually it's either the husband or it's the wife or it's the homeowner. So that hasn't been that hasn't really been an issue thus far.
So have you been getting more phone calls from people, or about the same as usual about starting urban farms?
More, without question. Definitely more people who pretty much didn't want to hear what I had to say a couple years ago. So I got quite a few calls from them. Hey, are you still? Yes, I'm still. I'm always, because this is a way of life for me. Even before the pandemic start, I just knew that our food system was fragile, and it was so. Yeah, I'm getting more calls, and it's funny because a lot of places where I've gotten seeds from in the past, like, different online places. A lot of that stuff is sold out. So it's a
Hmm.
lot of people that are really like, let me start looking into growing my own food.
So to those who would maybe thinking about it or not thinking about it, what would your advice to them be? I mean,
Uh,
obviously there's still grocery stores, so there's plenty available. But what would your advice be to them?
start small. Um, for whatever reason, like you could just start with an herb garden. I'm sitting here drinking tea that because I grow different types of herbs. So I have some mint in it, some lemon balm, some uh, lavender, and it's just making a fresh natural tea that I drink. Different teas that I can drink. But I would say start small. Start with what you like. Get educated in what you're doing, and then as you get more time or more experience, then maybe expand. A lot of issue with home gardening is time.
Hmm.
And if it's one thing that people had during this pandemic is time that they didn't have before because of the stay-at-home orders. So this was a grand opportunity for you just to start something, do something new, not just with gardening, but a lot of your dreams and passions in general. This is a grand time to start that if you start it from home.
So if someone's thinking about an urban garden and wanting to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
They could email me at kevin@alsopbusiness.com. That's Kevin, Kevin, at Alsop, AL, S as in Stephen, OP as in Paul, business.com. You can email me and just drop me a line and we'll communicate from there.
Okay, Kevin Alsop, urban farmer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and be safe.